Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our publishing and coaching services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Bill Nash, author of USA Eliminated. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's going to be fun to be here.
Are you ready to get started?
As ready as I can be. Yes.
All right, question.
That's a possibility.
That'd be good. Question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
I would say don't be afraid to talk about your book to anyone. You know, family, friends, co-workers, that's one. A lot of people are kind of comfortable with that. But during the past few months, while I was waiting for my book to come out, I even talked to some of the service people, like my lawn service guy, handyman, plumber, and a few of them were interested in the book. I had in my business card I had from my author page so they could stay on top of the progress, so they'll know when the book will be released. So I would say just don't be afraid about talking about it. And get your business cards out there, too, for your book, as well as your author's page.
You know, what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Well, the first time I published this book was under a different title. I self-published it with Amazon. And I had a hard time editing it. And then when I thought I finished it back in end of 2015, I published it. And about 6 months later, I joined a writer's critique group here locally, and I found out it still had a lot of work that needed to be done. So I had to take it off and go through the whole thing. It's been a year and a half going through the whole thing again. And then at the end of last year, I found a publisher that was interested in publishing it, and it's been going since then. Basically, the editing, I would say, is the hardest part, and finding out what's current. For instance, some of the stuff I learned back in English and writing back in high school back in the 70s is no longer the case today. So I found a website that's a pretty good lead for, like showing, not telling, telling, not showing, or is it the other way around? I always get those two mixed up. But, there are some places online that is very good helping, researching to get an idea how to do it yourself or finding a publisher. So don't be afraid to do that as well.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you. I think editing and proofing is by far the hardest part about getting published. I always say the easiest part is writing the book. The hard part is going through the proofreading and the editing and getting it all cleaned up.
Mm-hmm. Right, definitely. Fortunately, after I got the first one done, I found a proofreader. My publisher recommended me a proofreader that it's in my second book, too. Ooh, holy big difference. Believe you me. I wish I knew her back with my first book.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that worked well.
Well, I'm relatively new with the marketing aspect for my book. I had about 32 years as a party DJ, so running my business, marketing for that, I've been trying to apply to my book as well. One thing is networking, like I mentioned before, talking about your book, knowing how to come up with a 30-second commercial if somebody asks what your book about, being able to do what they call an elevator speech, a 30-second little spiel about what your book is about. Wouldn't hurt to have also a 10-second version in case somebody needs a whole lot faster. Another thing is have business cards made up for your book, or if you don't have it yet, if you're still in the process of writing it or editing, whatever, is to have, if you have an author's page, to get business cards for that. And one thing I did the last 6 months with my author's page cards is I left them at different locations, like bathrooms at restaurants, gas pumps, and other locations where I found I could leave business cards. Sometimes, like my barber has a little bulletin board where I can leave some cards, as well as some other location, cleaners, all that stuff. So business cards are cheap little miniature billboards for your business. So between that, as well as I'm in the process of, in a couple of weeks, doing my first attendance at a writers convention here in Dallas, and I'll have a booth there. And what I've learned in my DJing years, I'll be having my booth designed up to attract people's attention and such, some lighting, and as well as one thing I always tell you: if you have a booth, don't sit behind the booth. That doesn't invite people to your table as well as you standing in front of the booth and greeting them and say, walk by. So that's another thing I suggest. If you ever decide to do dealers' booths at these conventions and such, or even book signings while at a bookstore and such, at the beginning, be out there with the people, visit with them. People don't want to be sold. They want to be entertained.
I love that. People want to be entertained. That's a great point.
I learned that years ago with my DJing, and I'm trying to apply it to my books now.
Well, and you bring up a great point, because it's the same thing when you're doing emails or anything else. You want to always be telling a story versus just trying to pitch people, because you're going to create such a more powerful connection by sharing a story and by storytelling. Right.
Actually, speaking of emails, something that else might be applied to emailing or doing it online through social media. One of the things I learned a few decades ago is about direct mail advertising. You want to time it out where it's delivered between Tuesday and Thursday, because Mondays, everybody, they're busy at work, and when they get home, they don't want to fool around with junk mail, in this case, spam, with emailing. And Fridays, weekends on their mind. Over the weekend, they're not going a lot of times be working with their emails or their groups, unless they're one of the types who are their cell phones glued to their ears, as the old saying goes. They live by their cell phone. Myself, I keep my cell phone in another room most times, so I'm not that type. But that's one thing. We'd be doing a mass promotion about either by email or by social media. Try to plan between those 3 days.
Yeah, that's definitely great advice. That's one thing I've learned too when sending emails out to my list, is Tuesday through Thursday are always the best ones, because you're right. Mondays and Fridays, Mondays are catching up from the weekend, and Fridays are getting ready for the weekend.
You got it.
And
the weekend is, I want to party.
Well, it's funny you mention that.
I got to go shop.
Well, and it's funny you mention that too, because I've done some experimentation with that, where I've tested out emails on different days, and I've definitely noticed a big difference sending emails Tuesday through Thursday versus those Mondays and Fridays, because there definitely is data in there that shows that those 3 days in particular are definitely the best ones.
Right. Another thing, that if somebody wants to kind of keep track, even sometimes you can find out what time of the day most people open their pages or go to your sites and such. Mm-hmm. Google Analytics is a good tool for that.
Oh, yeah.
That way you can track a lot better, see how people find out about you, I should say, and what time of day they seem to be shopping most or coming to your site more, stuff like that.
Yeah. And what I like about it too is the fact that it also shows you how long people stay on your site for. And anytime that you can get them on your site for more than a minute is always a good sign. And typically, from what I've seen from my audience, they're on there an average of 90 seconds to 3 minutes. So that's always a good sign.
Right.
Well,
and I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you, I wanted to get a little bit more information in regards to your 30-second commercial, because from what it sounds like, you use that for your writers' conventions and when you're meeting prospective readers. Tell me how that works, and what exactly did you do to create that commercial to be book-specific?
Well, actually, when I first published the book, the previous title was Invasion USA. And I changed it to USA Eliminated because of the fact Invasion USA is also the name of 2 different movies, as well as another series of books by that title. So I went in and changed it, and plus I've improved on it. But I'm sorry, my train of thought just derailed.
No, you're okay. What I was asking you was about the 30-second commercial. So just tell me what goes into that to actually pitch that to in regards to your book.
Right. Okay, I understand now. I'm sorry. I got.
Oh, you're fine.
Well, actually, the 30-second commercial, the first time I did, I went through CreateSpace, and they have a service where they help you on the blurbs. Even the 30-second commercial. That kind of gave me an idea what to work with. Since then, I've come up with several variations of it. Basically, like in my case, I would say something like Jack Slater has been chasing UFOs for most of his life as a director of OSAP, the Organization for Study of Aerial Phenomena. He is trying to prove the fact that we are being visited from people from other planets. And then one day he finds this abandoned alien base with an actual flying saucer, the dream of all ufologists. Who knows? Who would have knew that by doing so, he would start World War III?
That's what I love about fiction, because you can really get that hook. I mean, right there, you had my interest immediately.
Thank you. My problem sometimes, though, I was just making this up on the fly. Because I couldn't remember my original one. My shorter ones were like, Jack believed in UFOs. Too bad he found one.
So really short hooks, but the thing is, you get the interest by doing that. And that's why I wanted you to go into more of the 30-second commercial, especially on the fiction side, because that's always going to be much different than a nonfiction side, because a lot of the nonfiction books are used to build a business. So you're basically, you could pitch your company as well, but when you're on the fiction side, it's a whole different ball game.
Right. Well, actually, there was a writer, How to Get Free Publicity, I just had this name and I lost it. But he wrote a book about to get free publicity over radios, TV, and such. And he did have a good 30-second commercial by, actually in this case, plugging part of the book. Mm-hmm. As an example, he's got a thing about how this farmer got free publicity by saying his turkey looked like Elvis Presley. And had him doing dance to blue suede shoes. But even nonfiction, you can still come up with a good 30-second commercial if you word it just right to be entertaining.
Absolutely. Well, Bill, let's talk about your favorite book. So what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
Well, actually, I don't have a favorite book, but I do have a favorite series. It's the Unborn Galaxy series by Michael E. Gonzalez.
Okay.
His first book, Dark Moon Rising, that one got me hooked. Then the second one, I cannot believe I was reading a few scenes here and there. I had songs playing in the background of my mind. It made me think of music that fit the theme of the scene. And I've never had that happen before with any book. And then his third book, it was fun to read. It had me playing the music again. But I'm not going to give any spoilers here, but it reminded me of a classic tale. And what I've learned is have fun with your writing. If you have fun, if your readers can see the fun, they can have fun. It's like when you're talking to someone over the phone, smile. If you're smiling, they can hear the smile over the phone. It's not just a visual thing. The same thing with your writing, I should say. Have fun with it.
That's a great message. I love that. Number one thing you learn from it, have fun. I think that's one of the biggest things, because if you're not enjoying what you're doing, why are you doing it?
Yeah, get ready for an ulcer.
Well, Bill, for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
Well, actually, I'm not as sophisticated as most of your guests, I would say, or fluent, whatever. When I first heard that question, I only had one quote that kept on popping in my mind over and over. I couldn't think of anything else. It's, he who hesitates is lost, so grab all the gusto you can get. My mother used to say that.
That's a great quote.
Yeah, it means just get out there, do it. Don't wait for something to happen. Don't hesitate to doing it. Just get out there and do it, and don't do it halfway. Do it completely and then more. If you think you're finished, see if there's anything more you can go to. The old saying about going to 110%. Just get out there and do it.
Yeah, it's one of the messages I always tell my clients and potential clients is don't be afraid to take the plunge. Just get out there and just do it.
Right. There was one I saw on a sign of a church sign was, it may be tricky out on the limb, but that's where the fruit is.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, but I have no idea who said that. It's at my church.
Well, Bill, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Well, my book itself is available on Amazon Kindle. You just search by USA Limited or by my name, William D. Nash, D as in David. My author's page is basically, I have a Facebook and Twitter account. My main site is www.sci-fiufo.com. That's SCIFIUFO. And my Twitter account is twitter.com/WD Nash_author. And then Facebook is .com/The Jupiter Factor. Those are mainly the ones I have.
Well, Bill, thank you again for being a guest on this show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey
Thank
ahead.
you. Glad to be here, and I hope people can benefit from what I've learned and some of my mistakes.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.